Good day. Our topic for today is all about the application, the functions, the uses of magnetic starter. Now remember, magnetic starter is a very important device used to control different electric motors. Even in generators, it is still used in generating plant. Why? Because this is the one responsible to run and start the motor. Now, what are the most common functions of magnetic starter? Then why is it that we are using this? Controlling a certain electric motors. But mind you, magnetic contactors are not only limited for controlling the electric motors, but there are also other functions aside from that. Okay? Now, what are the functions or what are the uses of this magnetic starter? Okay, first, this is responsible to start and stop the motor. Okay, if you want to start the motor, you just simply press the button, and if you want also to stop the motor, of course, you have to press the button, stop or off button. And at the same time, this is also used to protect the motor from any overload. Now remember, a certain motor has its own amperage or ampacity. Meaning to say, there is a full load current. If you will be driving this motor more than its capacity, then there's a tendency that the motor might be overloaded. Then the motor will become defective. So in order to prevent this, then we will again using this magnetic starter. Another one is to limit the starting current. Now remember, during starting, the motor will draw high amperes, 3 to 5 times of its full load. So if there is no, shall we say, a certain device that will limit the starting current, again, maybe electrically, mechanically, your motor will be in trouble. Then, aside from that, this is also used for speed, speed control. So if you want to run a motor for low, medium, and high, or maybe low and high, then you are still using a magnetic contactor. So it depends on the connection. This is also used for reverse. If you want to reverse the motor directly, you just simply press the button reverse. And if you want to run the motor in clockwise position, maybe that is for forward, then you press the button forward. Okay? This is also used for changing the direction of your electric motors automatically. Now, in our previous lessons, particularly in the motor, if you want to reverse a certain motor, like for instance the the capacitor motor, so you simply interchange the either running or starting winding, but not both windings, diba? The another one in three-phase motor, if you want to reverse a three-phase motor, you simply interchange any two of the three wires, then that is, the motor now will reverse, interchange any two of the three lines or three leads, then the motor three-phase will reverse if you will reconnect it. But without reconnecting, using the magnetic contactors or magnetic starter, then you can easily reverse the motor automatically by pressing either forward or reverse. So that is very important. Another one, this is also used for quick stop. You will notice that when you de-energize or remove the motor from the source, there is still an extra rotation. Okay? There is still an extra rotation. So what you are going to do, you need to use a magnetic starter to have a dynamic braking or quick stop, dynamic braking or quick stop, diba? So the motor is already out from the circuit, but the rotor is still running, rotating. So in order to stop it, then you need a magnetic starter. Okay? Now, the typical example on this is the elevator. You will notice that when you press in the first floor, second, you will go to second floor. Then upon reaching second floor, automatically, bug, diba? Stop immediately. So there is no extra movement. So that is because of dynamic braking. this is also used to used for manual and automatic operation. Now, usually, there is two operation. The motor can be controlled manually, and then the motor can be controlled automatically. So still, you are going to use a magnetic starter. So that is it. Then another one is you want also to drag the motor, or if you want to run the motor for a short period of time, then still you will use a magnetic starter. So these are the functions, the uses, and application. And then by having this subject, studying this industrial control, we will take up all of this. I will connect. I will show you how it operates, how it functions, and then how it is installed. Okay, so we will have some example here, connections. Of course, I'm going to give you the diagrams, different diagrams. That is why do not depend on this video, but if possible, you should have your own notebook, because you cannot always bring this video. So if you are already in your workplace after your graduation, you will land a job, and then it happens that you are in an industrial plant or any company or any plant where they are using these devices, then of course sometimes we forget this because we never expect that would be the nature of our job. So what you will do, you just simply scan or open your notebook. So it is very important. So these are the shall we say, the most common, the common uses and functions of your magnetic starter. Okay. Now, in a magnetic starter, of course, there are several devices that you are going to use. As what I have told you before, we have here a magnetic contactor. This is a sample of magnetic contactor. This one. This is a very big magnetic contactor. Here, the smaller one. Now remember, it has different brand, a line of brand. Okay? So, and then different sizes because it depends on the horsepower of your motor. And then, of course, we have also overload the relays. We have the push buttons and any other control devices. Now remember, I already showed to you some of the what we call parts of the control devices, diba? And then I explained there how it is used, what is the application, or even the principle of operation. So there are so many control devices, and mind you, control devices, control parts are very, very expensive. Okay, so hopefully that as we go on with our lesson, you will really learn or acquire skill, because you cannot actually understand all these things by merely listening, by just listening. No, it's not. So you better you have more understanding, especially if you are doing the actual connections or do actual installation of this magnetic starter. Again, this is a very important topic for you to learn as an electrical major, electromechanical, or if you are also, even though you are an electronics, but sometimes when you land a job, you will not expect that you will be assigned to electrical. You do not expect that you will be assigned in electronics. It depends, it depends. But it is really necessary to learn this. Okay? Now, you can seldom find an electricians, that also aware on how to connect magnetic starter. You can seldom find. You are very lucky if you are an electrician and then they have a basic knowledge on controller. Nakainak siya. But as most of the technicians, particularly those who do not have formal education in electrical technology, they learn only maybe wiring, residential, like that, commercial wiring. But as to the magnetic starter, they don't have it. And then what is also very important here, This is not only good for you will learn on how to install, you will learn on how to connect, but one of the most important is also you know how to troubleshoot and repair a certain magnetic starter. Okay, so as we continue our lesson today, I will give you some diagrams of this magnetic starter. Remember, there are two classes of magnetic starter or magnetic controller. We have, this is what we call a full voltage magnetic starter. Okay, we have a full voltage magnetic starter. So when we see full voltage, no, full voltage magnetic starter, meaning to say, when you press the button start, immediately the motor will receive a 220 volt if the motor is rated 220 volts. Okay, but this is only used for small horsepower. But if the horsepower will go beyond 5 horsepower or maybe even 10 horsepower, then you need another class or another type of magnetic starter. Again, we have here the full voltage, and then the other one is we have the reduced voltage. So when we see reduced voltage, this is applied for large horsepower, no? That is more than 10 horsepower, 50, 25, 50, 100, so on and so forth. So you are going to use a reduced voltage magnetic starter. And then, of course, we will start from the full voltage magnetic starter. Okay? Full voltage and then reduced voltage. These are the two types or classes of starter that we will be learning. Okay? So you have your full voltage and reduced voltage magnetic starter. Now, to tell you, for full voltage magnetic starter, there are so many connections. I can even give you more than 20, 30 diagrams just for full voltage magnetic starter. That is why the very first lesson that we will be taking up is the direct online magnetic starter. This is also known as magnetic across the line starter. Okay? Magnetic across the line starter. Now, I will give you some diagrams here. You know, magnetic starters is only one part of the system. Okay? So first, we have here the, this is the illustration. Now, I will try to illustrate this. And then that one. Okay. So you have here, no? You have here. So first, this is the single line diagram. We have here the circuit breaker. Then we know the circuit breaker is the one controlling the whole system. If there is a short circuit, then automatically the circuit breaker will open. So the main purpose of the circuit breaker is to protect the system whenever there is trouble. Particularly, this will protect your conductor. Okay? This will protect your conductor, particularly if there is a short circuit in your system. And then this one here, we have now the magnetic starter. Okay? You have here the magnetic starter, and then you have your motor here. So this is the single line diagram of our system. Okay? Again, we have the circuit breaker. Now, what is the purpose of the circuit breaker? The circuit breaker is also known as the overcurrent protection or overcurrent device. So when there is an excessive current flowing in the circuit, or maybe the motor is overloaded, or there is an overcurrent because there is too much load that you put there, then of course there is what we call an overload. And if there is a short circuit, then that is what we call excessive current flowing in the circuit, then that is considered as an overcurrent. So, circuit breaker here is an overcurrent protection, while the magnetic starter here is the one not only responsible in stopping and starting your motor, but also this is responsible to protect your motor from any overload. As what I have told you a while ago, if you put more than its load on the motor, let us say the motor is only good 5 horsepower, and then you put more than 5 horsepower, maybe you double it, no? Thinking that it is good, then of course the magnetic starter is responsible to tripping off your whole system. Okay, so your motor now is safe. So what you will do, try to check why is it that your motor is overloaded. Okay, so we will take up that one. No, we will take up that one. So you have here the single line diagram. Now, by the way, if you happen to see like that, no? Okay, so meaning to say this is a three-phase motor. I mean three-phase line. You have a three-phase source. Now remember, a magnetic starter is not only used for three-phase, but this is also used for single phase. Okay, so in this case, I can change this into details. Then, of course, we will have a three-phase line. Now, I'm going to illustrate to you the diagram on this. Now, remember, in a magnetic starter, particularly the full voltage of magnetic across the line or direct online magnetic starter, there are two circuits there. That is a power circuit in a control and a control circuit. Of the two circuits, control circuit is complicated compared to power circuit. Okay? Mauna siya. Now, I give you already the what we call the single line diagram, and then let us interpret this. Okay? So, we have here your circuit breaker, three-phase. This is a symbol of circuit breaker. You have line 1, you have line 2, and you have line 3. So this is your circuit breaker. Okay. And then, of course, you have your magnetic starter. And then in the magnetic starter, you have your overload protector, or in the form of overload relays, and then you have your electric motor. Okay? So this is a three-phase motor. So this is your heater, and found in an overload relay, and then this is your main contacts from your magnetic starter or magnetic contactor. Now this one is your what? Your power circuit. This is your power circuit. Okay? So this is a basic power circuit of your magnetic starter. Okay? So again, you have here, you have the circuit breaker, this one. You have your magnetic starter. Of course, we have here the push button. We don't have yet the control circuit. And then we have here the magnetic starter, where you can find the magnetic contactor and the overload relay. For instance, this one. This is the magnetic starter. So you have your magnetic contactor, you have here your overload relay. And then, of course, you have your push button here. There is a cover, no? So you have your magnetic contactor, you have your overload relay, and you have your push button. Okay? So that is what we call a simple connection of power circuit. Now remember, how about the sizes of the wire? Now, remember, if this motor is 7.5 horsepower, for instance, 7.5 horsepower. Remember, in a 7.5 horsepower, there is really a conductor or a wire intended for that 7.5 horsepower. So let us see sample. This is only an example. So in this 7.5, I used number 10 size of wire. So the wire from here and here and here are all number 10. Okay? So that would be the size. Example, that would be in the 7.5 horsepower, the wire to be used here, the size of the wire to be used here is number 10. So in the power circuit, the wire to be used there is what? Number 10. But for the control circuit is, of course, you will only use here small size of wire. It depends on the power of your magnetic coil or holding coil. Okay, so that is our lesson for today. This is all about the functions, the uses, and application of magnetic starter. And then for our next, maybe I'm going to explain the connection for power and the control circuit, and then what is that type of controller, what is the name. And then I will also demonstrate here. I have the magnetic starter, then we have a small size of motor, then, well, of course, this is residential. I explained this at home. I don't have three-phase line here, but it might be a single phase, it might be a three-phase motor, the connection is the same. Okay? A single or a three-phase, the connection is the same. So during my demonstration, of course, I'm going to use a single phase motor. But if there is a need for me to explain to you the three-phase, particularly in reversing a three-phase motor, then we need a three-phase source. Okay? So much for that. Then I hope you learn this morning. Thank you and good day.